Hey, what is going on, guys? It's that Domino Effect here, and I'm back again with a pretty special gameplay. This is actually a double MOAB, dual MOAB, whatever you want to call it, on Resistance with the Scar L silenced, which is actually one of my favourite guns in the game, and it's probably one of the easiest to use guns in the game. But there's been a lot of requests recently about how I'd get MOABs and how to get MOABs consistently. You know, the best kind of setup to use, and I know the game's getting kind of old now and everyone probably knows about this already, but there's still some of you out there who don't get MOABs that consistently, and as I said, there's been quite a few requests for me to do this, so I apologise if you know how to get MOABs and you get loads of them anyway. But this video, you know, it's still quite a nice double MOAB, so you might want to stay around and watch it. But let's get right into some tips. Now, the first important factor is the map. The map, everyone has a personal preference, what map they love to play, and for me, Resistance is one of the best maps in the game. I had 4 out of 5 of my dual MOABs on Resistance, or 3 out of 4, something like that. And you know what, that's not a coincidence, because maps like Outpost and Downturn, you don't see that too much on YouTube. You see all these YouTubers back out when they see these maps, and no, I don't back out, but I know that I really don't do as well as I do in those maps. So I'm going to try and bring some maps gameplay from all the different maps. But you know, it happens on this map for me. It happens really well on this map, and Fallen is quite a good map for me as well, because the killstreaks do work. And talking to killstreaks, let's move to tip number 2. So after you pick your map, you want to obviously choose your right class, and a silenced assault rifle is always the way to go. Now, if you're really new to this, the ACR is ridiculously overpowered. Everyone can agree on that. There is a consensus that the ACR is probably the best gun in the game. That or the MP7, I'm not too sure. But the ACR, like, dominates short range, close range, whatever, long range, whatever you want to say, it dominates. And you can either start with this gun, but soon after you get your first MOAB with the ACR, you're going to be bored. You're going to realise, wow, this is too easy and it's kind of boring. So start off with the ACR, and then I'd recommend you go down a little bit to the SCAR, which is still a really good gun. Then maybe go to the AK or the M16 and kind of build your way down to like the CM901 or something. And then once you've done the assault rifles, I'd recommend going to the submachine guns, because, you know, do it in order of maybe how good you are with them, or just generally which ones are the best. And for me, the assault rifles reign supreme in this game, and especially with a silencer, as I said. And you know, most of my MOABs have been with the SCAR. I don't know how many MOABs I've had with the SCAR, but a lot of double ones have been with the SCAR. And it's just one of those guns that suits me. It barely recoils, and once you get in Specialist, which is always the loadout you want to go, you never want to go Assault or Support. Assault and Support MOABs are really nice, but this method works a lot better. And most games, I'd say 1 every 2 games, I can MOAB people with this setup. It's really easy to use. Obviously, a lot depends on the opposition, and you don't want to play against too many clans, especially if you're playing solo, because it's no fun. I like playing against clans when I got the same amount of people, because, you know, that's fair. But then again, sometimes you can get so many kills with clans just running up flags obliviously, and you defend them really well. And I get quite a lot of defense this game. You see, I'm pick up my MOAB there, first one, and then I kind of stay around the C area for the rest of the game and just defend the flags, because these guys were pretty intent on capturing C. That's probably because our team kept flipping them, and C is kind of a hard spawn to flip, so I know when they get there, they're going to keep staying there for a while, and that is how I pick up my second MOAB, and you guys will see a bit later on how many kills I just get staying around that one area. You can call it camping, whatever you want to call it, but once you're trying to go for that second MOAB, like, the defensive player in me just kind of sets in, and I really want to make sure I don't die and preserve my score. I think I've finished 69-3, so it wasn't like an outstanding score. But I do put together 2 24 kill streaks, which is nice, and yeah, and Specialist is obviously the key factor in me doing this. 2 assault MOABs in a game is kind of unheard of. I've seen a couple of people get 2 assault MOABs, but you gotta start with like low kill streaks, maybe like the UAV, the Pred, and the attack heli. But Specialist, for me, you have to use Specialist, and I'm not really a big fan of Specialist. I find it doesn't really play the objective as well as the other 2 strike packages, the assault and the support. Support kill streaks really help your team. They significantly help your team, and that's why you see a lot of videos like Fearcrads and stuff. They drop ballistic vests for him and his teammates, and they help him get triple MOABs and stuff. And yeah, that's a big factor. And also assault, you put Pablo up, it defends a flag for like a minute, which is really important in the game. And when you're using a Specialist, it's all about the MOAB. There's no other, like, for me, when I'm playing, there's no other like I don't know, hidden kind of goal for me. It's always about the MOAB, and I think for everyone else it is as well, because you could post a 23 kill streak, you get killed 1 off your MOAB, and And you know what? It's still a good game, but it's just because you didn't get the MOAB, it didn't go as well. And you can post assault games where you don't get MOAB and you get a much bigger score. But yeah, specialist is the way to go. Obviously, you already know that. Blah blah blah. Next point. Secondary and kind of the first perks to start out with. The MP9 silenced is probably the best secondary, in my opinion. I know there's probably going to be a few of you out there who think the FNG Akimbo is overpowered, but I think the MP9 silencer is better than most of the submachine guns. And with a sight, you can either go silencer or extending mags. I want to say in ground war you go extending mags, and that's another tip. You might want to play a game mode you prefer. I like ground war because it's kind of fast paced, but I know a lot of people like the 6v6 stuff. And yeah, it's all just personal preference, and yeah, MP9 for me all day because it's like a free gun. It's a free primary in my opinion. But maybe if you're a bit more of a rusher, you might want to go like Akimbo Scorpions, Akimbo FNG9s, just something like that. Again, it's all just personal preference. And oh yeah, the perks to start with. You always want to start with Scavenger. Scavenger is a must. You're going to go on a big kill streak. You need lots of ammo. The game doesn't really give you much ammo to start with, so make sure you start with Scavenger. And I know I'm going to get hate for saying this, but start with Assassin. You know, Assassin there's a reason people don't like it. It's because the perk is really strong and it's hard to play against. And yeah, start with Assassin, or you could go hardline. It just depends on the player you are. I don't really rush too heavy. I think the first map was kind of rushy, but the second one was definitely a bit campier. So in my opinion, start with Assassin and Stalker. Stalker and Marksman are immense perks. Again, I start with Stalker, but Marksman, you know, it's just as good. And you know, once you get to your 7 or 8 kill, whatever the specialist bonus is, you don't really need to worry about what perks you got where, because you have them all anyway, and you're pretty much in God mode at this point. You're in one-man army mode. You've got one-man army noob tubes, and no one can stop you. And yeah, that's kind of the way I'd start. Obviously, the portable radar is a must, and I use a portable radar on every class because there is no need for anything else. Flashbangs are good when you want to try and get Recon Pro, and then once you get Recon Pro built into your specialist, it is a really strong perk, but I'd never really start with Recon Pro. And yeah, that's where I'd start with the perks. It's fairly simple. You guys probably know all that kind of basic stuff now. I mean, the game's kind of getting quite old. But yeah, I hope this video has kind of helped you in a way, just giving you some tips how to start, whatever. Well, you know, it's all just personal preference. And then I pick up my second M.O.A.B. and call it in straight away. I mean, that's another thing that you might not want to call it in at the start because it blurs the screen and you lose the sound, I think. So whether you want to call it in at the start of the game or at the end, it's just opinion. I like call it in at the beginning because everyone gets double XP that way. And yeah, I hope this video's giving you some tips. Tell me if you get MOABs with this kind of setup. It's the easiest setup in the game, in my opinion, apart from using the ACR. But that's boring enough as it is. But I'm not Domino Effect, and I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. Double MOAB, peace.